So, Cats, you run a website about learning Japanese or something, right? So, hey, so I'll ask you some questions that viewers ask me that are too fucking lazy to read your site.
Yeah.
So how do you start? Because both you and I kind of took some classes, before we started.
I didn't, thank you very much.
You took Chinese, though. That kind of, kanji-wise, that you kind of got a early start.
Yeah, but it's like, it doesn't really make a difference, you know, because it's like saying you became a millionaire, like, but you had $10 in your pocket. It's like, it doesn't. You had 10 more bucks than me. It's like, it doesn't really make a difference. Because there's so many people who are stuck at that, right?
Yeah.
It's like, the real thing is, how do you break through out of that, like, you know, I'm a foreigner phase?
Yeah.
Into, like, you know, really, when to people mistaking you for a native speaker on the phone. You know?
Yeah.
How do you get to that stage to be functioning as an adult, you know? Really getting stuff done.
Well, it's like, they say that sometimes, like, well, they want to know how to start, like, you say on your website, like, just be in an all-Japanese environment for the most part. Just make all your media Japanese. So when they start, should they start with kanji, hiragana, katakana?
Kanji first.
Kanji first.
Kanji and anime, yeah.
And they can download...
A lot of people will be like, yeah, but I want to do this, I want to do that. It's like, you suck anyway, okay? It's
yeah.
Like, stop being picky about... Like, I know, like, I've had people where I've tried to work with, you know?
Yeah.
And they've been concerned, like, if I know all these kanji, well, I know this and that. It's like, again, that's like a poor person being like, look, I know this way of getting rich works, but will I be a millionaire tomorrow? It's like, no, just, like, work with me, okay? It's like, it's funny, you can't go from, like, zero to suddenly being picky, you know?
Yeah.
So... yeah, do kanji first while having anime on, which most people will.
So
many people will.
Should they use subtitles in their anime?
But no, avoid subtitles. You know, like because most people who like anime watch subs, right?
Yeah.
They still don't know Japanese, right? It's not helping clearly. So no.
Yeah, like when they think of a funny quote from an anime, they quote the English subtitle, not the Japanese, nah?
Plus the subs aren't as funny. I mean, you've said yourself, once you saw Ikebukuro Escape Park, which isn't an anime, but once you saw it in English, it's like, it's not nearly as funny as it was. And that's the same, like, I can't...
Well, they get the context wrong. Well, they get the context right, but they don't get the exact wording right, you know?
I can't imagine watching Gintama, like, in English. It'd be like...
Yeah.
It's very specific humor, very specific. Cabaret clubs, all this stuff, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so they should just be in an all-Japanese environment all the time, like, just listening.
Yeah. You think, but what will that do? I'll just be confused. Well, it'll do several things. Now, I'm not a linguist, but people always ask me why, so I feel like I have to explain. This is just like why from my experience. One thing it'll do is it'll get you used to the sounds of the language. A lot of people, have you noticed when a lot of foreigners speak English badly, they make sounds that don't even exist in English. Like, where did you even come up with that? No one has ever said that. Why are you making... They make stuff up. They're creative. It's bad to be creative. It's not a creative process.
Yeah.
Don't be creative like that. That's one thing. You'll get used to the sounds. There's another thing, and in several ways, not just to the sounds that are, but to the sounds that aren't.
Yeah.
Certain sounds that simply aren't made in English, even if it might be correct to say, it is not my opinion that is the case. But it's like, who does their consonants that specifically? You know, it just doesn't happen. We get used to sounds that get shortened and everything. So we'll get used to sounds one.
Yeah. So
another thing it'll do is it'll get you hearing words. Now you think, what can I be hearing? It's weird. It goes basically in 4 stages though. First stage is like it's just gibberish.
Yeah.
Second stage is you start picking out words randomly. Third stage you start picking out phrases. Fourth stage is you know everything except for a few words. So it's like flipped. Instead of picking out few words you do know, you're picking out the few words you don't know.
Yeah.
Now, but in order to get that stage, you have to go through the listening to it. You have to go through the sucking. That's what you did in your native language too. You heard a ton. It's just basically the input hypothesis. And what happens with time, you'll pick stuff up. It'll just happen. You just have to give it the chance to be picked up. You know. And that's a time issue really. But it's not like, look, I'm doing Cantonese right now, right? I have this on while I'm doing other work, which is in Japanese. On the machine, but I have my Cantonese video on.
Yeah.
So I mean, and you've been here watching me. I like pick stuff up, like new stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool. You know, it just comes. It's like picking fruit. You know.
Yeah.
Like what is it that just came on? It's like don't use your eyes, use your feelings. It's like.
How do you say that in Cantonese again?
It's like 唔係用眼，要靠感覺啊 something like that. So 唔係用眼，要靠感覺。
日本語で?
So I don't know.
Should turn that down a little bit so we can hear you.
目を使うな、感じるんだ。
目を使うんだ、感じるんだ。
Yeah, so it's like, you know what, it's something Stephen Kaufman talks about too on the linguist. Like a lot of stuff just happens incidentally, so you have to give it lots of instance to happen. It's like you don't feel like you're working, you know, but you are. It's because thing is you don't. People say someone's good at language. They're not good at it. They're used to it. They're so used to it. They can even make if I say to you, a stitch in time saves 9, or let's pick a better example. It's like
what the fuck? I don't know that. It's like
dude,
a Linkin Park or something. Fuck.
Like, and what are you telepathic? What are you clairvoyant? It's not like clairvoyant. It's just you've seen these patterns so many times that like, you can start to be able to make predictions. That's because you're used to English. Like,
hey, there goes me lucky.
Charms, yeah, you know. It's like there are these patterns, and you start. It's just the way the human mind works. Now, the way a lot of people try to learn languages, they need to feel like they're learning. So, like, oh, let's get this table and memorize the grammar. And I've done that, and it didn't work. And I did that with.
I did that too. It didn't work at all.
All I know is, and we know that helped me do it. It helped me memorize tables. Like now, I know how to say a table in German. I still don't know German, you know.
Yeah.
I still don't know how to use it correctly, you know. But I know the table. Daddy dusty, damn dusty. That's that, dame. It's like. And then what? I did this with Latin too. It's a complete waste of time.
But cats, come on. If it's school, man, and everybody else is doing it, and somehow people that go to school are becoming fluent, how do you explain that?
But people who go to school aren't becoming fluent. Have you met anyone who's like, yeah, dude, I just took classes and got A's and like...
Well, like my friend, he went to language school for 2 years, and his Japanese is pretty good, but he lives in Japan.
Pretty good, but how good?
Better than me, I think, to some degree. He knows more kanji syllables and meaning, I think.
That's
maybe.
Funny, I haven't met many people who are genuinely good who went to school.
They're generally fluent, like para that are...
Who can just give Rogin Tamatu.
Yeah.
That subs. Or you can be like, okay, write an article, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like recently, like that guy on Gaijin Pod.
Or give a newspaper, say, read it out loud.
Yeah. Well, that guy on Gaijin Pod, he was talking about how his first school, or Gaijin Pod, I don't know, Gaijin Smash, he said that, he studied Japanese for 4 years in college, but it was all polite Japanese, and he got put into the JET program in Osaka.
Yeah.
And so, like, when he went there, the kids, like, he was speaking polite Japanese, and they're like, oh, you don't speak real Japanese.
Yeah, it's not.
Like, you don't know Japanese at all.
How do you do?
Yeah. It's like, mo ikai ite kudasai. No, yeah. And he's like, so he said it wasn't until being in a Japanese environment that he understood how to do that shit.
Here's the thing, you don't have to come to Japan to have a Japanese environment, because Japan is...
yeah, Cats, how did you do that? Tell the people that are too lazy to freaking read it.
Japan has this thing where it's called a video.
A video?
It's called text. Japan has produced an incredible body of literature. By literature, I don't just mean text, I mean videos too, you know?
And so, movies and manga,
novels, anime.
Video games.
All this stuff that's there, you know, that stuff can be transported. You don't need to be in Japan. Like if your house only has Japanese stuff in it, if you only listen to Japanese music, if you only hang out with Japanese people as far as possible, you know, then what more do you need? Basically?
Well, so Cat's like, what if I'm a full-time college student and I have 2 part-time jobs and I'm crippled and I have tuberculosis?
I had 3 part-time jobs and I watched Oprah as a child, which means I was convinced I was like, you know, from a dysfunctional family. So it was pretty rough for me too. But like, you just like the time's there. You know the time's there. Like, you know the time's there. You've spent like anyone who's ever spent 2 hours on the internet surfing about stupid movies they don't even like, you know.
Yeah.
Just from side to side. If people have the time, you can put on music. You can do it, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone has time. If you have time to say you don't have time, you have time.
Yeah.
It's just like if someone has the energy to say that, you know, I'm sick and I'm dying, and they're not really dying, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like it's just there. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at explaining this. Like
that works fine.
I don't know how to put this into words. Like, but it just happens if you give it a chance to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's a natural. It's just that's the way humans work. You just have to give it a chance. And the biggest thing isn't the process. It's actually the biggest problem is the individual people, their emotions. People want things quickly. You know.
Yeah.
And one thing I will tell you is that you can't be obsessed with